Hey everyone, welcome back to We Are Podcast. This is I Hate Being Sober, Season 1, Episode 9, Living with ADD with Caleb Scott. I sat down with my friend Caleb and we discussed what it's like to have ADD, how he was diagnosed, how he is living his life, and all of his coping mechanisms. This is a great conversation we had that was super enlightening. I hope it is also for you. If this is your first time checking out the podcast network, please head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And if you have a chance, head on over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. And with that said, on to the podcast.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to
I Hate Being Sober!
And now our host, Doug!
Hey everybody, welcome to I Hate Being Sober. This is Doug. Today I have my very special guest, Caleb Scott. Hey Caleb, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I am excellent, and we are going to talk about something interesting. The other night, me and Caleb were drinking, and I brought up a conversation with him, which I will kind of go into, but a little background. I work at the Arlington Comedy Club. Caleb, where do you work?
I work at the Addison Comedy Club.
And at the Addison Comedy Club, he is the DJ.
Amongst many other things.
So the jack of all trades. They have you do a lot of stuff there, don't they?
Yeah, a lot. And that'll probably get covered later when we get into it. But.
Right. So you're kind of all over the place, which was something I noticed that began this conversation. First of all, we went over to Pete's Piano Bar. We had a couple drinks. We were having fun. And I went over and I found Caleb and I was like, "What's up, bro? How you doing? Hey, I got a question for you." We have to say this very delicately. The other day I was working with him and I thought to myself, I was like, is Caleb on drugs? He's kind of like bouncing all over the place. He's dancing. He's having a good time. And I was like, he seems kind of scatterbrained and he's there. But even right now when we're talking, he's kind of looking off in the distance.
I'm literally looking at your lamp right
I know. And I was like, what's the story? And immediately, because I was being me, he goes, dude, I'm ADD. And I was like, what? He goes, I'm ADD. And I immediately went, that fucking explains what that is. So that's what we want to talk about today. And once again, you kind of been hanging around me for the last month, so you're kind of getting the gist of my personality.
Yeah.
I'm very blunt and straightforward with a lot of shit.
I like it.
So let's talk about it. When you were a kid, how did they find out that you were ADHD?
So that's an interesting question. So you have to remember what the times were when... Well, I'll say this. In the third grade, my teacher, and I think it was either the third or fourth grade. I don't remember exactly which grade. I think it was the fourth grade because I had the same teacher from third and fourth grade. And she came to my parents and basically just told her, hey, I think your kid has ADD. And something you don't know about me, some other people don't know about me if they're listening to this. I am adopted. So my parents kind of picked me out. And when somebody, especially in the 90s, like mental stuff like that wasn't really on the forefront, you know, it was starting to kind of begin, like people were being more educated about it. And so the teacher thought she was coming in and being like helpful. And my parents got really offended. They were like, no, our kid's smart. They went to the principal and they were like, yeah, we don't like this teacher. She's telling us our kid's not good enough, that sort of thing. I don't know exactly what they said to the principal, but I got moved and I actually liked that teacher. And obviously she was paying attention to me.
Right.
And
yeah.
she was really just trying to get them to help. But, you know, I understand where my parents were coming from, being like, hey, this is our kid and you're telling us our kid's like messed up in some way. Like that's kind of fucked up.
And
you know?
That's important too. You said this was in the 90s where mental health and diagnosis and those things were more frowned upon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and they also you don't want to hear, especially from somebody who's not a doctor, being like, hey, I think your kid's fucked up. Especially so young. They're like, how the fuck do you know that? Like, you're not a doctor or whatever. And, you know, they just wanted to believe, you know, they believed in me. They were actually a really great parent. They just didn't want to think that there was something wrong with me, which I can totally relate to as far as like, or not relate, like I don't have kids, but I certainly wouldn't want like a third grade teacher like coming up to me and be like, hey, I think someone's wrong. Actually, I changed that. I probably would appreciate it now, but in the 90s, in that culture, you know, I can see how they would be upset about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I moved teachers, and then, you know, I struggled through school, like not really struggled as far as like understanding the subject matter. I was actually like really good when I would get stuff done, but a lot of times that wouldn't happen. And that's kind of one of the things is like, you just like, you get bored with stuff. Like you'll like rocket through, let's say there's like 10 math problems on a page. Like I'll rocket through like the first 3. And the second I hit like a roadblock on it, like I don't understand, my brain's like, nope, no, okay, next thing.
Really?
And yeah, and so it's really hard to just like dig in and get reinterested into that. And it's something that I've had to learn as an adult, that's kind of part of it, especially not taking medication now. So let's fast forward to like I think it was 6th or 7th grade. I finally came to my parents because I got a computer. Or no, I didn't have a computer then, but I had seen like a commercial. And this is shout out to pharmaceutical companies.
Shout out!
Which is funny because my mom's a pharmacist.
Wait, so she's a pharmacist, but she didn't want to hear that you might be ADD at the time?
My mom's it's funny because my mom, she is a pharmacist and she is super smart. Like, her approach to anything that we had, like a physical ailment, she was like, the last thing we would ever do would be go to the doctor. Because really strange, but also I kind of see her point. Let's see if we can get you over this. If your body will adapt, to, whatever you're sick with, like whatever tiny little bug you're sick with, like a little cold or a little, whatever. She would feed us, ibuprofen or Tylenol, and then we would, get through it, and then, we wouldn't really get sick. I mean, I see her point on that, but when I was 6th, 7th grade, I saw something or heard something on the radio, something like that. I remember it was some sort of media saying like, do you feel this way? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I know that's supposed to be like predatory a little bit. Like, that's how that shit works. It really resonated with me. And I was like, maybe I should get checked out, and then when I brought it up to my parents, cause I didn't know why I changed teachers in the 3rd grade. Nobody told me. So when that happened, I just thought, oh, I'm just changing teachers. Later, when I brought up, hey, I think I might have ADD, my parents were like, yeah, about that.
Wow. let's tell you a story about this awesome teacher you had back in the day.
Yeah, and they're like, we didn't really like her because she told us this. And they're like, well, maybe there is something to it. And I will credit my parents for like actually listening to me, at that age, because who wants to listen to like a 12 or 13-year-old? I have problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Were you a bad kid though? So
no, I was a really good kid,
yeah.
But it's still, like, for the most part, I was a good kid. I'll say that.
Before you realized what it might possibly be, how did you kind of deal with it whenever you were saying like the math problems, you get to a certain point?
I wasn't, man. I wasn't turning in homework, and my parents were getting upset, and it started manifesting more as I grew up. So like I could kind of deal with it, because it's pretty easy to turn in 5th grade homework. But once things started getting more complex and the concepts that they were teaching us were becoming more deep, for lack of a better word, and I started running into roadblocks, that's when things got more difficult for me to like strap in. When things did get difficult, all of a sudden, sudden disinterest, totally throw it away. I don't need it. Let's start on something else fun and more interesting. And then I would like rocket through that until I hit a roadblock. Boom, another thing. So that's kind of where we get into, like I said, I do a lot of things at the improv. It's because I get bored a lot. So
and so do you go back to the first task again, or once that's kind of off the plate, you're just done with it?
Once I got more of a handle on it, I could figure out how to spark that again. But also, I had a friend who said that motivation, and this is totally random, again, ADD, he said motivation is fickle. And I think somebody else said that, and it was a quote that he posted, but he said motivation is fickle and you can't rely on it to always go off of. That goes for anything in life, like working out. Of course, when you feel motivated, you want to do it, But I would say the demotivation factor with ADD is even more extreme than most people deal with. And I can't speak for everybody on either end of that spectrum. People with ADD, people without ADD. I mean, there's an entire spectrum that everyone's on. I don't know where I fall on that. I feel like I'm pretty extreme on it, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I couldn't tell you like where I fall on that. But it was bad enough that we're in the 3rd grade, my teacher was like, "Hey, something's wrong with this kid."
Well, I don't know you that well, but from what I've seen up there, like when you said that, I was like, well, that fits very well, kind of the way that you'll pop into a situation and then you'll pop out of it. Like you're literally like you're there. And then you'll be like, where the fuck Caleb go? Because you're off to the next task. And so even being at the bar, like I saw you and I was like, I'm going to go find him real quick. And then I caught you and then we started talking and then I was drunk. So I was just like, bleh, this is what I think. And then when you hit me with that, I was like, oh shit, that actually fits way better.
Yeah, and I'll go back to when you did ask me that question. My response to that was, I get asked that question a lot.
Right.
Are you on drugs? And the answer is yes, sometimes. But
to
be fair, but most of the time when people ask me that and they describe the situation that they thought I was on drugs, I was sober. And I've been really responsible with my drug use. Well, especially later now, but less. Wow, I lost my train of thought.
You're fine, because actually we do want to go down that road, but let me back you up just a little bit, okay?
Go ahead.
First of all, were you ever medicated for a period of time?
Yes. So let's go back to, when I came to my parents, they're like, yep, let's get you tested. Let's go into, let's do all the tests. And so I did, and the doctor was like, yep, you got ADD. Let's try this. And I specifically remember the very first time that I took, I think it was Adderall. And it was overwhelming how I was like, wow, is this how normal people get through the world? I was like, holy shit, right. I was fucked up. I wasn't fucked up like I was high or anything. I was saying like, God damn, like... It
brought you down because if you have ADD, ADHD, any of that, it takes you from that hypermanic state and it concentrates you.
Yeah, whereas, I was like, is this how people, like, function through the world? Like, I can actually make it through history class, and let's say I'm riding on a train and it's just on one track instead of, like, jumping through, all these different tracks and, going backwards and loop-de-loops and all that shit. It was just, like, one constant state, and I was so relieved because I was like, finally... I was like, I knew I wasn't fucking stupid. I knew it.
Right.
I was like, I know I'm not dumb. I know. And that's what was the most frustrating thing is people were like, oh, why can't you just pay attention? Or why can't you just... And I wanted so bad to do that. So bad. And it just wouldn't happen for me. And I couldn't understand why until, this happened and I took the medication and I was like, holy shit. This is awesome. I can finally...
Well, anyone who takes that medication feels that way, but you actually needed it.
I was like, this is awesome because, like, for the first time in my life, I feel like I can complete a task without getting totally derailed in the middle of it because the monkey in my brain is, like, changing the fucking channel every 2 seconds. Like, oh, this was interesting for 2 seconds. Okay, nope. Next one. So finally, I had an actual stream of thought, and it felt fucking great. And then I was like, yep, let's do it again. Let's keep me on this. But then I stopped taking it around. It suppressed my appetite, which is a normal side effect because it's an amphetamine. And I didn't like that because I was already pretty like skin and bones. And I like to eat, what kid doesn't? Also, it made me more antisocial, or not antisocial, but I guess it is a good thing that it stopped me from like talking to everybody and got me into my work. But you have to have a healthy balance, especially as a kid. You want to be social, and it's healthy for a kid to have like friends and stuff. And that would shut me off from that. And also, I was a very artistic kid, and lost train of thought.
No, you're good. You were saying that you were a very artistic kid.
Very artistic kid, and I felt at that point it stifled my creativity. Right. My art suffered from it. And I know it sounds so fucking lame to be like, oh, my high school art suffered from...
I don't think it's lame. I think it's anyone who has a mental condition such as that. I don't know. It's not an illness, but it's a...
Yeah, it's a condition.
It's a condition.
Yeah.
And we all struggle with that because I struggle from bipolar. I'm bipolar too. And it is a fucking nightmare. With mine, I cycle. I go from manic highs to depressive lows, and I have an in-between.
So you're Kanye.
Dude, Kanye makes perfect fucking sense to me. When I see Kanye, I'm like, y'all don't get it. Like, this shit is for real.
I mean, I like Kanye because I understand, at least to be misunderstood and to think, like, I mean, maybe I'm a little bipolar. I don't know. Never been diagnosed. But I was like, holy shit, this guy actually makes really good music. And that's debatable to a lot of people. That's fine.
No, I'm pretty sure he makes good music.
Yeah.
Even
let
me,
a
I'm
couple
not a fan.
Grammys. Yeah.
It's pretty decent. I mean, I know some people hate it because he's popular. Fuck you. Music's pretty decent.
No, he's fucking. I mean, he's a legend producer. I will
We
say
had this
that.
Conversation the other night at work with somebody too. We're like, you need to listen to Kanye. I could have. No, maybe it was
I have
else.
Kanye conversations on the regular, fighting other people at the club or having a healthy debate about it, and that's fine. I'm not gonna change anybody's mind, by being like, oh yeah, he's the best. You just don't get it. Like, no one cares. But
you relate to him because
I'm just like, because he. Thank you for putting me back on that train. I get it, just because like he's misunderstood and he's on his meds, off his meds, and like he feels kind of more comfortable off his meds because he feels like, I'm sure he felt stable at first, like on his meds, kind of like I did. And then he's like, nah, I want to jump off the cliff again. Let me fucking just stop taking my medication because this is hindering my artistic process.
Well, you're in a constant state of mania. And that's what yours, like, right now, like you said, you're kind of jumping here and there, which is fine.
But people don't, that's not how people work. That's not how normal people, live their life mentally.
And that can cause major issues.
Well, and they don't understand, for me, it's normal. I'm just like, oh, I'll jump from here to here to here to here. And other people are like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, we were just talking about cats 2 seconds ago, and now we're talking about, like, the theory of relativity. I don't understand how we got there.
It's catch up. And what you just said to me, you're like, thank you for getting me back on track. That's what I do as a host, but I'm following everything you're saying. And the reason I'm pointing that out right now is I'm going to keep everything in that I would normally cut out to illustrate what it's like to be ADD, because that's what's important for people to understand in this podcast, as long as you're okay with that.
No, I'm totally fine with that. I really appreciate you for at least, I know as a host you have to, kind of keep people on track, and people do go off on tangents, but I definitely will more than others. So, but I think it is important for people to understand, like, how, one train of thought can lead to a completely polar opposite.
And is that how you think of it? How being like a train and then somebody switching the tracks? Or is it multiple tracks you're like jumping from train to train?
You know what? The monkey in the brain concept is really what I like to stick with, because it really doesn't make sense. Let's say I'm watching a show and then a monkey has the remote, and for no reason, all of a sudden it switches from like, Wipeout, which I love that show. It's a fun show. It's a dumb show. Let's switch. What was that 80s show? Fuck. Everyone's going to be like screaming. Oh, it was that one. It was that one. American Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that.
So, Wipeout.
I'm watching that. And then all of a sudden, the monkey's like, no, we're watching HSN now, bitch. And switches the remote, but the monkey doesn't talk to me beforehand.
He's like, do you like this?
Yeah.
Do you like
I was
this?
like, hey, I was fucking watching that. And then I was like, and then I see something shiny on HSN, and I'm like, holy shit, let me call the phone. Let me pick it up. I think I want that. And then right before, while I'm trying to dial the fucking number to like get the shiny thing that I want on HSN, boom, we're back on Wipeout. Oh shit, we're back, folks.
Yeah. Wow. So you never have like multiple TVs. It's one TV.
It's
flipping.
one TV. It also can be like multiple things. I really do really poorly at multitasking more than two things. And I know there's a lot of studies that say multitasking isn't real. It kind of is. I mean, I feel like I do it better than some folks who like haven't dealt with this before have. Just in regards to, I learned how to, like, a lot of times, I remember in Spanish class, I had the Spanish teacher that would get mad at me because I was drawing in class, and she thought I wasn't paying attention. But it was really how I was trying to calm my brain. Like, I was focused on one thing, but I was still listening. Like, I had to keep my hand busy, do something with my fucking hand. And it should have been notes. I agree. Should have been notes. I've actually found it was hard for me to take notes, and then once I learned how to, it did wonders for me. But I didn't know how the fuck to deal with it. So I just would, like, draw to kind of, like, calm that crazy part of my brain down. Right. And then that way I could listen. You know, I was drawing and I wasn't focusing on anything else and thinking about anything else. I was focusing on what I was trying to draw. So if I was focused on that one thing, the rest of my brain would shut the fuck up and let me listen to what the teacher was saying. And I actually speak pretty good Spanish now, so...
That's crazy, dude, because as you're saying this, I had the exact same experience when I was a kid. I never could not be drawing in something or looking at something. I would be reading, which is fucked up, and listening.
And, I can't do that, dude. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'd be reading. And,
reading for me, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, well, let's jump into it. Why is reading?
Holy fuck. So, reading is really hard for me because I'll literally, like, my eyes will read a page and then my brain checks out. My brain will check out. My eyes will have read the page. Or 2 pages sometimes. My brain will check out and think about whatever was in, like, the first paragraph.
And you're still reading?
And the rest, it's fucking weird. And
no,
I'm sure...
because I do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an ADD thing or if that's just, like, you know, normal people shit.
Well,
but
I'll get caught up on this paragraph, and I'm thinking of all the stuff that's in this paragraph, and I'm still reading. I gotta go, oh shit, I gotta go back to the paragraph after.
That's what happened to me. And like I said, I don't know if this is an ADD thing. I'm just talking from what I experience. I can't say what I'm experiencing every time with my brain is ADD, but a lot of the stuff that I feel like I'm talking about it is pretty related to it. But I think that's something everyone experiences, but it may be a little bit more extreme in my case. I don't know.
Well, no, because I'm questioning now whether I'm ADD or not. Because
go see somebody.
I had a similar experience when I was a kid. They took me to school and they sat me down in a chair, and this was pre-kindergarten, and they didn't say sit here, stay here. They just walked out in the hallway, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go. No one gave me the command. So I got up so they wouldn't let me go to kindergarten because it's like, he's not ready. I was like, if you guys would have told me to sit there, I would have. But no one told me to do that.
It's like one of those...
It was a test of some sort.
Fucking aptitude test.
Yeah, and I was... like, the stuff you're saying is kind of hitting it home. Well, let's talk about when you got off the medication. You said that you wanted to get off of it because...
And we're back, folks, from another advertising read from Squarespace.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you.
Use...
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just...
Do it because I'll cut one in.
Do you really have an advertising?
No, but I'll fucking make it up.
All right. Squarespace. What the fuck is that?
The devil. Fuck it. Who cares? This is background noise. Okay, back to
Sorry, yeah.
And
we're back.
Medication. So you went off the medication. What age were you when you decided to make that change?
Ooh, I was probably in 10th or 11th grade. So I went from, I'm pretty sure I got on it in 7th grade. And then after 2 years, I was like, I don't like the side effects of shutting myself off from everybody. I mean, in hindsight, who the fuck cares? But your friends mean everything to you when you're
Especially
in high school.
Time, yeah.
Yeah. But now I'm just like, why the fuck did I do that? Because I could still be on it now. And I do need to go see somebody. But let's get back to when I went off of it. When I went off of it, I was in high school, 10th, 11th grade, and yeah, I started eating more, which was good, because I was on the varsity gymnastics team, and we worked out hard, dude, like hard. And, you know, not eating, that's not good for you, you know.
Right.
You gotta consume all those calories.
And that's the problem when you take that medication, is you forget to eat.
It suppresses your appetite.
And then you get really fucking mean because your blood sugar drops, and
Yeah.
you're not getting the nutrition you need, and then...
Oh, dude, you don't want to, like, I mean... We've talked a little bit outside of work, and I don't know if you've seen or not that I can be kind of a sarcastic asshole sometimes, but you don't want to meet me when I am fully on medication. Holy shit.
Yeah. You just lay down the law, roasting motherfuckers left and right.
Somebody so hard, or just like totally make somebody feel... And that's also the other thing that I didn't like, is like I was kind of an asshole to people, and that's not me, or I guess it is.
Well, no, because that's part of the medication.
Perhaps, but also, you know, that I'm still, I don't know. I feel like I'm not like an asshole, but just like I'm a blunt person, and I feel like that's why we get along. A lot of people can't take that. I guess I'm not an asshole, but I'm an asshole to some people who can't take like blunt honesty.
Well, would you be able to know that you've said something that would be offensive or hurt somebody? Because if you're on to the next thing always.
Oh, well, no, when I was
on
on medication, I was so involved in whatever I was doing, it didn't matter if I said something that was hurtful to something. Because usually it was honest. And, a lot of people are like, oh, I like honesty. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Because I can keep going.
Oh, no, you don't.
Because I'm in this godlike state because this amphetamine.
Right.
Don't bring the pain. You don't want it.
Yeah, I was like, dude.
Let's not do that. So, when you came off the medicine, did you find that you started eating?
Yeah, I started eating, I started, hanging out with my friends more, and I liked that aspect, but then, here we go again, we're back where we started. I'm struggling with school, and trying to figure out how to, not take this medication. Oh, what the fuck?
It's my phone.
Oh, okay.
This is old school, dude. When they come through, it crackles.
Yep. Oh, I know. I remember that.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, isn't it? That's what we always.
That's what it used to sound. You remember that when your phone was sitting beside the speaker, like an SMS would come through.
Nothing's even came in yet. But that's exactly what it was doing because this thing picks it up like that. So you were failing in school.
5G, man.
Yeah,
5G,
this
man.
motherfucker gonna get you.
It's gonna give us COVID, man.
Oh man.
All right. Anyway.
So
yeah. We were talking about.
You were starting to find yourself in school doing bad again, and where did that lead?
Well, I mean, I passed.
Fuck it then.
And I got into a pretty, decent school. But that was the thing, man. I knew I was smart, and I didn't have to try. I tried just enough to kind of, get by, and I was like, I know I could be doing better if I was medicated. I was like, but this is good enough.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just accept this. I definitely shouldn't have. I should have just stayed medicated, fucking worked through it, especially now that I'm older. And if you're listening and you're younger and you're thinking about getting off, don't do that. Talk to your doctor. See about what other options there are for you. Maybe lessen your medication a little bit. I mean, I did talk to my doctor. He put me on, guess what? Dude, it was 2007. So think about where technology was at. The first iPhone had just come out. Okay. So, and we were still on fucking iPods. An iPod with video was cool as shit right then.
It was.
So he put me on a patch, right? Mm-hmm. A patch with fucking ADD medication.
Right.
Unheard of, dude. And he was like, try this, and did a lot of physical activity.
Oh, your heart rate must have been racing.
Bro. That's why, if I drink a Red Bull, nothing, dude, nothing. I drink, those red lines where it has a warning on the back, and you have to be 18 to buy it. Yeah. Well, that barely moves the needle for me.
Well, that's the thing that people need to understand about this. We've talked about Adderall, that's an amphetamine. Mm-hmm. Uppers,
it calms me down.
Brings you down. So even coffee, caffeine could have that effect.
It doesn't make me tired because I will drink coffee and it does help me, but it has the same effect where finally my thoughts are cohesive.
Right.
And it kind of coffee's kind of like my poor man's Adderall. Or, sometimes I'll go to Starbucks and just be like, give me an espresso shot, bitch.
Oh, you motherfucker. You better hook me up. I'm going ADD on you, bitch.
I'm tying off my arm.
So we talked a little bit about, you said alcohol you turned to for a while?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I would get that. I would drink that to make the monkey go night-night at night.
So what does that mean exactly?
So the monkey's still changing channel. I'm ready to go to bed. My body's tired. And my thought could not be any more crazy. I'm just thinking of all the crazy shit. If you look at my Twitter sometimes, you'll see it where I post 3 crazy things in a row and people are like, what are you on? And I'm like, I'm not.
I'm all natural, baby.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what it's like to live in my brain for 3 seconds. Deal with it.
Right.
Same thing with my Facebook posts. It's I basically use Facebook like Twitter sometimes, and I'll just throw some random shit out there and then throw something else out there. And this will all be within a span of 5 to 10 minutes. And And then people were like, I want some of what you're on. And I was like, well, I'm not on anything. So, and see, that's where we came from talking about alcohol. But yeah, that's how I get the monkey to shut the fuck up at night. It's how I make my brain go night-night sometimes.
What do you mean? You like drink into blackout? Or
No, not blackout. No. It used to be that way when I didn't know how to control what I drank, when I was younger and less responsible. And that definitely, getting blacked out, never good. And then plus you got to deal with what the fuck you went the day after. And I got a little more strategic with it. Now I don't need to do it as often. And I definitely just have a drink or two just to you work in the same environment I do. You're all hyped up from all the people, like that energy. It's hard to put away.
It's totally stimulating. Working at a comedy club is one of the best fucking places in the world. Like if you have any interest in working in comedy at all, you need to go work at a fucking club because it is one of the best experiences you'll ever have and one of the best jobs. But you're right. There's an adrenaline to that room, to hearing people laugh, to moving so much, to watching it, getting the education, whatever the comedian is saying to you. It's
that, and you're around famous people. Holy shit, that adrenaline, on that too. I mean, I'm not saying that's like the only thing, but I'm saying that's an ingredient.
Absolutely, because
you're like, holy shit.
Hey, I saw you when I was a kid. Oh, I saw your comedy special last week. Oh, I just saw you do a Joe Rogan.
I saw this guy on Conan like months ago, and now he's right here in front of my face. And
he looks like he did on the TV.
He looks like he did on TV.
This is weird. Get out of here and look at him. It is, but it is bizarre like that because I know they're just regular people, and working there has definitely, the more months go by, like that wears off, and you get to look at people as like people, and then you actually have a better time over there when you stop looking at them like celebrities, and you're just like, oh yeah, this dude was nice when he came through, or this guy was a piece of shit, and I'm not naming names, but it happens. And by the way, if you're listening, comedians, we do talk.
We talk.
The staff does talk, so trust me.
Holy shit!
I will name a name. We're gonna have one of the nicest guys in the world this weekend. DL Hughley is one of the nicest.
Oh, dude, that guy's fantastic.
He's amazing.
Great dresser. I'll say that. God damn, that dude can dress, and he can handle his liquor.
Yes, and will always take a moment out of his day to say hi.
Oh, he says hi to everybody.
He treats everyone good.
It's funny. I was going through a phase, and here's another weird thing. I go through like fun phases, and this is probably a personal thing and not an ADD thing. It could be tied to it. I don't know, but I like to go through like different looks and shit because it's fun. At that time, I was going through a look. I was wearing. Everyone called me Steve Jobs because I was wearing my black turtleneck and black pants. Dress shoes. I wanted to look official, especially as somebody who's, running, like, I basically, I'm in some capacity, I'm the security for the club and for the artists. So, like, when I go tell people to shut the fuck up, if I'm dressed like shit, no one wants to listen to you. If you dress like shit, but if you're dressed nice, people are like, oh shit, okay, this guy's kind of, people respond to that. And especially DL likes it when people dress up, especially the staff. He really, really does. That man knows how to dress, and he really appreciates people who do that for him.
He does.
So, I was basically dressed like his bodyguard, which was funny because his bodyguard also had same outfit as me, I had like black skinny jeans and, a fucking black turtleneck, and so was his bodyguard. And so we were dressed the same, and it looked like I was his son. It was the funniest shit. It was so much fun.
Well, let me get it back on track.
He's a nice guy. Yeah.
Let me get it back on track.
Ooh, so let's reel it back in.
No, you're fine. And like I said, I'm keeping it in, too, just telling you right now. Because it's good
keep
to
it in. Keep it in.
You said alcohol, shut the monkey up.
Oh, yeah,
Did you ever turn to any harder drugs? You don't have to name them to help shut it up. But we know, like, uppers will kill.
Well, the thing is, what's weird is the uppers. I didn't like them because it would pretty much have the same effect on me as, okay, let's use cocaine for example. I'll throw that one out there. That one's a pretty common one. Anyone in the service industry, people call it nose beers. I don't know. You have names for it. It's funny. Anyways, my friends would be out and they'd be drinking, let's do some. And, I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then, like, I get weird, because I shut down. Yeah. Like, most people, it, like, amps up. They're like, woo!
Yeah.
And I never.
No, because you
never.
actually, an upper would bring you down. Because
It was so, I would shut the fuck up and just be weird on the couch and just like sit and stare and be like I was definitely fucked up. I will say that I was fucked up, but like in a different way. I did not want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to sit there and just be like, and I was like grinding my teeth, like all the shit that, comes with that. But instead of like being real chattery and, wanting to talk to people, I shut the fuck up and be antisocial. So it was like literally the same effect. So that's how I know for a fact, like, okay, I definitely have this.
Yeah, because cocaine is a social drug, and
I was not social, and I do not. So
effect.
Don't ever offer it to me unless you want me to get weird, and I probably won't. We won't have a good time. You guys want
to see Caleb get weird? Give him some of this nose beard.
Yeah. Do that, and then I'll be thinking for the next 3 days, I was super weird on that couch. Yeah, actually, I don't do it anymore because of that reason, and also it's just not good, But I am thankful that because I know people that, like, get on it and, they're addicted, and I'm so glad I did not have that experience. I was like, fuck this shit. Not worth the money, would not buy again. But let's talk about another amphetamine that I've taken, methyldioxymethamphetamine, which is better known as the street drug MDMA or ecstasy, Molly. Holy shit, I like that shit. It's fun, but I also kind of get the same way, but it's actually more soothing because I'm just like, my body feels fucking awesome and couch feels good instead of me like sitting on the couch being like, Look, if you benefit from taking Adderall, and a lot of people do, but they don't, it's hard to say because like, I feel like you could give Adderall to anybody and they still get a lot accomplished, but we don't all have the same effects. Like, for me, yes, I get a lot accomplished, but for the first time in my life, I actually feel like, like normal.
Yeah. And you can strategize what you want to do.
Right. Other people, maybe it's, I don't know how they feel, whatever, because I took it for medical purposes, and, who knows?
Hey, everyone, it's just Stuck jumping in here real quick to say thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you're enjoying it, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give us a like. And if you get a chance, head on over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at /WeArePodcast. And with that said, back to the podcast. Let's talk about this real quick. Seeing as you're not medicated, what are your coping mechanisms right now?
All right. So I actually worked at an amazing job with some amazing people, a lot of amazing people, besides one guy. And he's cool too. I've forgiven him for what he did. That's a long story. But there's this guy, he would push me like a mentor, and he was pretty much like maybe a couple years older than me and had his life together, man. Had a fucking wife, 2 kids and 1 on the way. Very happy with his life. I was like, dude, how do you do it? Like, I want to be there. I want it. I've had my fun. I want that. I want stability. And, he taught me a lot of great things. If you're listening, Corey James, shout out. Shout
the fuck
Dude,
out. Corey!
Also, he actually does have an awesome podcast. I hate to plug another podcast on yours.
Plug it away.
Oh my god. It's called Clocked In. And it's available on Spotify. It's available on iTunes. Dude, it's only 5 minutes every Monday. Motivational shit. Dude, it gets me going. This guy, he's got it together. You should listen to him. But he would tell me, we worked together, and then he told me about his podcast. And once that happened, it really, helped motivate me, for the week. But when we worked together, he told me to write things down. And that still is a very hard thing for me to do just because, Jesus Christ. Hold on.
No, you're fine. It's hard to write things down.
Yeah. It's really hard for me to because the fucking demon that's in your head, or the monkey, or, the demon that's in your head when you're ADD is like, oh, you'll remember that. Dude, okay, here's what I actually wanted to talk about. I remember on my way over here, I wanted to talk about, I was going to say, yeah, the demon is telling you, yeah, you'll remember that. But also, dude, I had to move this week. And while I was moving, in the process of moving, I lost my keys, I would say 5 times. And it felt like I was going to have a breakdown every time. Dude, it's crazy. And you're like, oh, just put a hook where you put your keys every time. Nah, not gonna happen, dude.
Right.
I put a hook there, and I would say a good 70% of the time now, I have a grounding spot and put, stuff there. But other than that, like...
Is that a normal thing with ADD? Because I do that.
Oh.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Dude, I don't know. Like, and here's the thing. I don't know. Maybe it is a normal thing to just... And maybe I'm... It's hard to put together, like, okay, what is ADD and how much of a piece of shit am I?
Well, I would say that obviously, just talking to you, when you said that immediately, I was like, ADD. When you said that at the bar, I was like, oh, shit, that makes perfect sense. So
right.
that's a huge part of who you are as a person. So you can't think that...
No, but I don't want, I don't like when people make excuses, because I've really been battling this thing, and I feel like I got a pretty good hold on it, especially as an adult that's unmedicated now, and it has known what it's been like to be on medication. I've got a pretty good grip on it, but I definitely need to go back on my medication. But, I don't like when people get diagnosed with something, and then now all of a sudden that's their excuse for everything. Oh, sorry, I didn't take the trash out, it's my fucking ADD, or oh, sorry, I didn't do this or that. Like, some of it really is just like, hey man, you're not applying yourself, and that's what's important for people listening right now that have ADD. That line is really blurred, where you don't know if what you're dealing with is like, hey, hey, listen up, come on, why can't you pay attention? Some of that really is ADD, and the other half is just like, hey, fucking listen, dude, or pay attention. It's hard. There's a very blurred line there, and it's hard to figure out where you fall on the spectrum on ADD, because, yeah, just like anything else, it is a spectrum. You're going to be dealing with the really extreme. I feel like I fall somewhere to the upper to middle part of that, but that's a personal speculation, I'm not a doctor. But let's get back to...
What were you thinking about on the drive over that you want to talk about specifically?
Fuck. I was saying the demon, something about...
we were talking about motivation. We were talking about...
No. But before we were talking about that, we were talking about how I lost my keys. Oh yeah, lost my keys. That's what I was saying. I moved and but that's a normal thing, man. And simple shit like didn't set an alarm for the morning. Simple shit like, stuff that you should remember because you do it every day, but your brain is just so sporadic and attracted to what's the most interesting thing right now, or what interests me right now. Like all of a sudden, you do forget shit, simple shit like, oh, I forgot to set my alarm. Like you worked all night on this crazy thing, this crazy project that your brain came up with, and it looks fucking awesome, but guess what, you got work in the morning, but you were like, it's okay, I'll set an alarm. Guess what, you didn't set the fucking alarm. Guess what, you're getting fired from your job now, and you didn't, you may have this awesome project that you worked on, and then now you don't have a job.
I was going to ask that, because it was asked of me. Did you ever find it was hard to keep a job because of this?
Oh yeah, all the time. And even when I would tell people about it, it wouldn't help. And I don't blame them. It's really hard for somebody who doesn't have proper training on how to deal with... There's a multitude of mental illnesses out there, mental conditions. And to ask, a fucking, just regular ass person who, they don't understand. And it's not their fault. It's just now, recently, I would say in the past 10 years, things have really kind of come to the forefront as far as people being more understanding. But with that, you're gonna get some people who are still kind of left in the dust, and they don't really understand, and I can't blame them. I had a job where I tried to tell people, hey, if I was a manager, I was an operations supervisor. That's how sharp my skill set can be.
Right.
Can be when I'm on my shit. But guess what? Got in the way. Got fired. And a lot of that actually had to do with some workplace bullying, and it had to do with my, mental condition. And, we don't have to get into that. That's a really long story, but it wasn't good. I'll say that.
Have you been bullied because of this?
Yeah, that's what happened, dude. I told one of the other operations supervisors, hey, man, if you're working with me, this is how it can go. It doesn't mean that I don't understand or I'm ignoring you, when I'm talking to you and I'm not looking at you and I'm looking at something else, which you actually mentioned too.
Right.
I was like, dude, that's just I'm listening. My brain, I'm just trying to focus on an object. so I can listen to you. Because if I'm not, my brain, like, I'm going to be looking everywhere.
Right.
So I pick a spot, like, on the wall. Like, right now I'm looking at your Mega Man figure.
Mhm.
That's where I've been looking most of the time, or that blue lamp up there as, like, an anchor.
Yeah,
you know?
because very rarely do you look me in the eyes. But occasionally you will.
Yeah,
But-
I try.
You do try.
I know it really weirds people out, too.
No, because when you said it, remember that was the first thing I brought up. Even in my drunken state, I was like, well, because when you said I'm ADD, I was like, well, that explains why you never look at me in the eyes. But it never offended me because I'm just like, that's what he does.
It weirds a lot of people out, and it also leads people to believe that either I'm not listening, but actually what it means is if you see me looking in one place and I'm talking to you, or you're talking to me and I'm looking in one place, like out, like not in your eyes, it means that I am listening to you, which is weird. But yeah, I keep looking at. That's why I've been looking over at your Mega Man because like that calms me. I love the Mega Man, and it's something I'm comfortable with and familiar with. So it's a good like anchor point for me.
Do colors have anything to do with it? Because you said you're looking at the blue light and the Mega Man, so
I mean, I'm sure blue has something to do with it.
Because the other side of the room is red.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I can turn it off if you want me to.
No. I'm saying like that doesn't really. Yeah, blue is good. But also it's just something that I'm familiar with.
Right.
Like the Mega Man figurine.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that's something important to say, though, because you said it's an anchor. So that's a coping mechanism, too.
Yeah, so, let's fucking circle it back, tie it all back in. Yeah, so that's what we were just talking about was coping mechanisms is, that's definitely something I've used is anchors. But, yeah, Corey James, shout out, that job. He would tell me to write things down like in a journal, and for a while it really worked for me, but it was really difficult for me to remember, and a lot of times my journal looked like a conspiracy theorist board, I would have arrows and shit like pointing to like different things on different angles of the page. It was crazy. It looked like a manifesto if you looked at it.
What is going on?
They're like, oh my god, this person's crazy, which I am. But
that's something I always say, though, too. Because the bipolar, I always just say to people, like, I know it looks crazy from the outside. And my friends always go, Duck is crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah. And the same thing for me. People think I'm on drugs, and I'm not.
I mean, shit, that's how this conversation began. Because I was blunt enough to say, are you on drugs? What's going on? And you immediately were just like, boom. Yep. And I can't state enough how much it made sense the second you said that.
Yeah. It usually does. Like, we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Immediately. I was just like, right on, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Do you want to be medicated? Is that something that you want to do? Or do you... we kind of want to talk about what you are accomplishing without it. So would you consider
what's crazy is I have accomplished quite a bit without it, but I know what I'm capable of with it. And I know that is way more than but I can say with pride, like I have accomplished quite a bit unmedicated.
I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have never known because, like you said, you're kind of a jack of all trades up at the Improv. You kind of do a lot. Well, you do a lot of shit, and you get around and you do like you're here, you're there, and you're everywhere. So you might disappear for a second, but within a couple minutes, you're back. It's like you're kind of checking everything out at all times.
Yeah. And that also just kind of comes from the whole thing of having ADD as, and starting this project, that project, I got good at a lot of different stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, this is interesting and I'll hold on to that because I know that, the second it becomes boring, like I'm going to mentally check out. So I really hold on to, yeah, there is the fancy, or not fancy, the phrase, that, like jack of all trades, master of none. Well, I'm intermediate at most. I won't say master, but yeah, intermediate. I have an intermediate knowledge of quite a few things, especially like creatively, because that stuff really is kind of what I want to do, especially with like writing. I've always been really, really good at writing. Really good. I'll give you an example. Like when I was in third grade, either third or fourth grade, I had like a writing assignment, and what third or fourth grader ends like their essay with, like, and it was a fictional story, like they rode off into the sunset in their 57 Chevy pickup. Like that's really oddly specific for like a third or fourth grader to like put together. and I know that's kind of lame. That's a really like, oh, they rode off into the sunset. But like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's very oddly. So I've always been really good at like writing or creative things, artistic stuff. So that really is, but that's really helped me now that I'm in an environment where that's kind of encouraged. It's really hard to be in like that corporate world where people don't understand people like me and don't give me the creative freedom that I need. I'll say at this last job that I got fired from, I created this amazing spreadsheet with like formulas and stuff that was unprecedented. Like they still use it now. And my boss was just worried about me. Oh, you came in late to work 5 minutes. I was like, yeah, but what did I just accomplish for this entire company? And I also had kickstarted this user manual because it was a startup company. We didn't have anything. And I was like, okay, what do we need to start this company? And I created like a user manual for like a field guide for like our employees I was like, we need to start this. And the guy who's now the vice president, he didn't want to fire me. But the guy that was like directly in charge of me let me go. Right. So, it's just like, the other guy understood kind of my brain, and he saw, when I made that spreadsheet and made, the field guide and like headed that whole project, was like, okay, kind of give this guy creative freedom, and they didn't see eye to eye on that, and, I ended up, getting let go. So, but yeah, now working with like creative people, they understand right. a little bit more. I always joke.
Most creative people are a little bit left of center anyhow, yeah. So that helps because we're already kind of the wackies. And
I always called the improv staff the island of misfit toys.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say this also, and I think I told you this the other day, the hyena staff is the island of hot hotties. Let's talk about the stuff you're working on creatively by yourself. You said you're working on a lot of stuff.
I'll say 2.5 years ago, and Corey James, shout out again, he inspired me, because I told him I really like to DJ, and he was like, oh, well, what are you doing with that? And I was like, well, I don't know, like, maybe I'll make music someday, or, he's like, are you making any money off it? I was like, no, I just do it for fun, and he's like, dude, you can make money off that, and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, and I was like, but I'm not good, and he's like, that doesn't matter. And, those aren't exact quotes, but basically, that's kind of how the conversation went. And then, oh yeah.
What you're hearing right now is Caleb is making a drink while he's talking about this. So, vodka.
Mm-hmm.
So he said to make
he was like, and so he was like, dude, do you have a website? And I was like, no. He's like, do you have an Instagram, like, just for that? I was like, no. And he's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Do you like this enough to like want to make? I was like, yeah, I kind of want to make money off of it. Well, guess what? I made an Instagram. I made a website. Follow me at Slick at Night on everything. NITE is spelled, or night is spelled like NITE, like Nick at Night, Slick at Night. But yeah, I started all that stuff, and I really went hard on my Instagram. Hard. Yeah, 2.5 years later, I went from 0 followers to now I have 2,000. Yeah. Holy shit. I cannot believe that. What I'm getting at is that's one thing, right? Mm-hmm. I've got my DJ thing going. That's cool. I also, from time to time, I really like to paint, draw. I really enjoy animation. Do that.
And you're working for a company right now that's involved with animation.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah. I'm their accountant. I'm also doing that. I used to run hotels. That's crazy. I have crazy stories about that. So we can get into that like on another podcast if you want to. Mm-hmm. And then I used to play instruments. I kind of do. I mean, I picked up a guitar.
You literally just picked up a guitar and played a Beatles song, like out of nowhere. So I'm pretty sure you're still playing
I like it. Yeah. I also really enjoy graphic design. That's what I went to the University of North Texas. Go Eagles.
Yeah.
I went there. Cacao! Mean Joe, great! Yeah, I went there, and also because of like how bored I would get, and you don't know this about me yet, but impressions, I would do a lot of like, I would get bored as a kid and figure out a lot of impressions. I won't do them right now because
you're on the spot.
I'm on the spot. And also, yeah, but ask me, yeah, Oh, and also joke writing,
Me and you had a fucking great rant going the other day where you tagged and I tagged and you tagged.
Yeah,
It was
what
amazing.
I'm saying. I'm
So-
great at that.
So it was something about telling you about the movie I want to make.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the scene with the car on fire.
Yep.
And you came up with
No, I know exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was so fucking funny.
All right, so the car spontaneously combusts, or at least the engine does, and then people are trying to put it out with fucking any liquid they could find. But since it's a road trip, I know you've done this, I've done this. We put fucking vodka in a normal water bottle, so instead of instead of it being water, it's fucking vodka. So they pour it on there, and it just gets worse, and then it explodes. So yeah, just shit like that.
Yeah,
but,
and it was.
I know that's pretty insignificant, but that's funny.
But the truth is, we tag, and that's what's really important. And also working in a comedy club, I'm very good at a setup, and I have friends who are very good at tagging. So
I'm good at tagging. I'm good at premises and tagging.
That's what I'm saying. So when you have somebody,
there's some local comedians, I won't name them now, that actually have jokes that I kind of helped them write. I won't say kind of. I did help them write, and I'll tell you later about that. I don't want to put them, and people go, "Oh, you didn't write that," because people don't understand how that works. They don't understand how that works.
So many jokes just come from conversations.
Exactly, dude. A lot of my crazy tweets and Facebook posts kind of come from conversation. You can ask anybody, they'll be like, "What's Caleb talking about?" They're like, "Oh yeah, we were talking about this," and then he just went and posted some crazy shit. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. I put most of my I don't put my most out there shit on my Twitter just because of cancel culture, and I'm so glad I started my Twitter a year or two ago when I'm well aware of what I'm tweeting, because I can only imagine when I was 18, holy shit, and unmedicated and irresponsibly drinking and doing drugs and stuff, I can only imagine what the fuck I would have posted, and then people digging up, because I wouldn't have half the mind to delete that shit, after I wake up the next morning, oh, that was wild, and delete it. Dude, I had this shirt that made fun of Twitter, 2009, 2010, around that era. I forget what it said. It said something dumb about Twitter, but now look at us. It's the most important social media platform now.
Uses it
holy shit.
Yes.
We can get in.
We'll talk about that in a second. Let's get to the last point.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for people who think they might be ADD and who don't want to medicate? What should they do?
Ooh, tough question to answer, because different folks, different strokes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So find I have good days and bad days. So my best advice would be to look at your good days, see what you did that day, and try to replicate that. Routine is important, and I'm saying that as a hypocrite because I don't do it, but it definitely really helped me. It's really hard for me because I have 2 jobs. And, one of them's fucking wacky wild and doesn't have, really set hours. And the other one really doesn't either because, they keep moving my hours and stuff. But I would say try your best to establish a routine. If that is your goal, not to use medication, I would say do your absolute best. Find grounding techniques. They're very useful for any. Really, grounding techniques are used for a lot of different mental conditions. Even when you're taking psychedelics, that really helps. I won't say that too loud, but
it's already in. I'm not taking that out.
No, don't take that out. No, I did that back when I was 23. I'm old now.
I'm not judging. Well, real quick before we shut it down, is there anything that you missed that you really want to talk about?
Dude, I had a whole list. I feel like I went through pretty much everything. I feel like I did a lot of the talking here, and I know that was my job because I'm the guest, but I don't know how well I would do with other people being guests, because a lot of the times I'll hijack the conversation because I'm like, let's go where my brain wants to go. If you've ever listened to Bert Kreischer's I'm pretty much a lot of the time. He's
wicked interesting, though. This was wicked interesting.
Yeah.
And the other thing is,
I didn't, and I won't say I didn't, but I see him as I'm holy shit, That is me sometimes. Like, holy fuck. Like, I will just take a conversation over and, like, oh, let's fuck what you're talking about. My shit is more interesting, and I have a way more interesting idea. But he does have, like, really good ideas sometimes. A lot of times they're half-baked, but that's what makes it funny, and he's a comedian, so...
And it works.
Yeah, it works. And I'm trying to get into comedy writing, so anybody listening out there, hit me up.
Well, other than that, hopefully this was enlightening to everyone listening today. I really appreciate it, Caleb. Thank you so much for having me on, dude.
Fuck
yeah. So if you have any further questions, you can get a hold of Caleb on his social media. I will put the links in the description. Please reach out to him. Add him on the Instagrams. Add him on the Facebooks. Get on that Twitter. Check it out. Other than that, we appreciate you listening. SoundCloud. Oh, what's on SoundCloud?
Dude, my mixes.
Oh, we got to get
my DJ
going.
Mixes.
You are
listening.
If
you like house music, if you like mumbaton, if you like chill shit, I've got a mix for all of those. So I like to do a lot of different stuff. Again, we're hitting back into that.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, there we go. Hit me up.
Yeah, and you're going to go listen to this music. It's going to be in the description.
Hopefully. Nope. It's not my music.
We demand.
I'm saying it's not mine. I want to put that out there. It's not mine. It's other people's music. It's a mix. That's what DJs do. Think of me like a conductor to an orchestra. So we'll do that.
Done. So thank you so much again for listening. This has been Duck. I've been here with
Caleb.
And are you sober? Are you?
Well, I'm a little buzzed. Feels great.
He's had a couple drinks. All right, later. And there it is again. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Caleb, for coming on the podcast today. If you've enjoyed it, please head on over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give us a like. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, you're going to love the other podcast here on the We Are Podcast Network. We Are Error. We talk movies, entertainment, whatever the fuck we want to talk about. That's me, that's Jake, and that's Javi. We're breaking down pop culture, and we're having a blast. We Are Bagu, a video game podcast. That's me and Dr. Ethan Eastwood. We're talking Atari to Steam and everything in between. And Heroes Gyros, a Dungeons and Distractions side quest. Me and the boys, we're playing some Dungeons and Dragons. You can start that from the very first season. I guarantee you're going to love it. And don't forget to head on over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at /We Are Podcast. And if you've enjoyed the podcast today, please share it with your friends. And with that said, once again, we do appreciate you checking us out today. I got one question for you, though. Are you sober? Are you? We'll see you next time.